Hey, you guys. Today I'm here with my best friend, Megan Mercier.
Hey, guys.
And we're going to be
Sorry,
playing...
that wasn't good. Let's do it again. It's a PR nightmare.
We've reprehensively offended the gays.
The queer community.
Her latest campaign is being called disgusting and offensive.
Real women do it all. We create, we influence, we inspire.
I didn't not find the fruit stuff hot in a cringy way.
With Pride coming up in just a couple months, wouldn't it be the most sparkling, glittery olive branch to offer something completely made for the queer community? Hire me, Avery Carlton. I promise I will give you a product launch you will never forget.
You've barely been posting lately. Megan, you are the face of VAG.
What do you do when you're not online?
I only exist on the internet.
I think I might just be like this marine park orca that's like held captive and my mom's just training me to do flips and stuff.
Well, we got to protest.
My relationship with my mother is no bueno.
Reverend Mackenzie's been having some very powerful home visits with me and thinks it would be helpful if we started a dialogue.
A partnership with this fame-craving fashion monster is obviously going to crash and burn. Watch this.
I'm on a lot of uppers right now.
Avery's been fantastic, very supportive.
What is wrong with you? Did you get dropped as a kid?
If you consider being supportive mean.
Okay, come here. Listen up, everyone.
I don't like you.
I don't like you.
He's making me do a lot of things that,
Yes.
frankly, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. It's a little embarrassing. I thought you were a communist.
I was going to take that to my grave.
You're going down, Avery Carlton.
I am currently experiencing the biggest hate crime of the century right now.
You really think VEG is that unethical?
You are not eating.
Don't look at me! The internet is calling me a tomato gremlin.
They're just vultures.
Like avant-garde, like kind of art house cinema.
Everything's going great.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, we are quality control chicks.
I always look to you because I'm like, do we say it at the same time?
I know. And then I check later and one of us doesn't say the right thing anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
We're whatever we feel like when we record.
Well, today is extra special because we have welcomed some guests.
Yes.
First guests on the pod. So here we have Sabina and Marley.
Hello.
And they are super cool. They are going to talk to us today about their recent web series that has toured around already and is going to hopefully be released soon. So they're going to talk about it and all the stuff that comes with creating a series.
They're going to talk to us about the good and the bad that goes into creating something from scratch in the creative field and all the good and bad that comes with it. And yeah, the QC on both sides of the level 3 QCs and the level 1s that are not too much to worry about, I guess. The good.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear from your side because my partner actually did the editing for it.
You've seen every stage of it.
Yeah, I saw early stuff.
Yeah. And Jack did the audio for it, so I've heard the entire series, and now I've finally watched all of it as well.
Yeah.
I could put picture to the audio.
Yeah. Family affair.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
My name is Sabina Lambert, and I'm the showrunner and director.
And my name is Marley Cajun. I'm the creator, co-writer, and I play one of the lead characters who's named Megan Mercier. She's a silly girl. She's a whiner, that one.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
I feel like she's relatable, but also... in like sometimes you're like, oh, I know this girl as well.
Mm-hmm.
And silently judging sometimes.
Yeah. You've seen her on the internet, for sure.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So
I
yeah,
guess,
tell us a little bit about it.
That segues perfectly. So it's about two influencers, Megan and Avery, and they're BFFs. And essentially when the story starts, we've met them after they've caused an internet scandal. They've made an offensive piece of content for Megan's mom's company, which is called VAG. It's a vegan leather bag company.
Super trans exclusionary. Like a cis lady going down on stone fruit and calling herself a real woman. I mean, it's pretty problematic and feeding into a dangerous ideology.
And so they are coming back from this scandal. Essentially, Avery has moved into Megan's house because he, as an influencer, has lost all of his money, needs somewhere to stay, and he overhears that Veg is struggling, and he's like, I have a brilliant idea on how to save this ship that is sinking. But naturally, they're both silly billies, and the things that proceed to happen are chaotic and maybe worse than the original piece of content that they made. The cool thing about the show, though, is that it's a screen life show, which is a really new genre still. Essentially, it just means that the action, it takes place completely on screens. So we've seen this in some thrillers, like Searching, Missing. We've not really seen it much in the comedy space. Like, I've definitely seen bits and pieces in shows before, but we haven't seen a full movie or a full comedy show made this way. So it was definitely an ambitious undertaking, especially as an indie production. But we've done it to varying degrees of success.
Yes, we sure have. I think the only show that kind of came close was the therapy one with Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah.
But it only exists in Zooms. So they don't go beyond a Zoom therapy session where we go beyond Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we have the benefit of the internet having evolved a lot since that time, especially because the idea came out of COVID and being in isolation and seeing how wow, you really can move your entire life online if you have to. It just inspired so many more ways that we could see the story.
Yeah. It's true, because it's we live in such an online world, and I feel like it's only just starting to, TV, movies are only just starting to, show that, and you guys did a whole show, front to back, all online, and that's really cool.
I feel like as a kid, we got eased into it with iCarly. A little bit. Yeah, for sure. That feels like the junior, this is what the future is going to be, but you don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And then, as you guys were saying, because of COVID, because I think I'm going to get this wrong, because there's two movies that are very similar one of them was made during COVID, Unfriended, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there was another one that was very similar that may have been just before that, but had the same idea.
Yeah.
So I think those in the horror space too, is definitely coming out in more recent years, that style. And I think it's really cool. I think it could really showcase what we're both in post-production, so I'm going to geek out and say it really showcases what post can do
1000%,
with things like that too. But it's also cool to play around with formatting, because there's so much content out there. You got to really do something different to stick out from everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was thinking about it, I remember hearing the early stages of when you guys were creating it and the idea, and seeing how all the elements start to build up to really create that world that they live in. It's just online, perpetually online, whether it's, they're in a Zoom call or they're on social media and commenting between each other, there's so much communication that's happening, even outside of them speaking, which I thought was really cool, that you can watch and see, oh, there's some other stuff being talked about. You have to really look everywhere at the image and notice what's happening. So how did you guys kind of start figuring out how to create just a mapping of something like that? Because it's a lot to think about, all these elements, bringing them all together, and not just having, just two people talking to each other on screen. There's all these other parts to it. So how did you guys kind of start to create that world?
It was at first very overwhelming. But I think once we kind of got the hang of it, it was easier. So once we decided it was going to be screen life and only exist on these screens, we then had these rules where how we would get in and out of scenes had to exist within the apps and the operating system. From the writing stage, we would sit and we would talk about okay, we need something to then open a video that then brings us to this, so this character can talk about this. It's okay, a notification needs to come down. What does that notification look like? And we also did something extra silly where because we have two main characters, Avery and Megan, we alternated the POV and we did both essentially it's kind of a Mac desktop and then an iPad. And we alternated because you have no idea how many graphics exist on a desktop. It's endless, like just the amount that things operate, and it's windows on windows, where in an iPad, kind of like an iPhone, any sort of tablet or phone, it's full screen. Yeah. So when you open and close apps, they are full screen. And it's easier because it's a swipe. And we don't show any like hands or anything because we're in the screen. So you don't necessarily see things swiping. It's just something swipes up and then you click something and it pops open. So we alternated the two. We added in the iPad because we did a proof of concept originally. And the proof of concept was all desktop. And it was ridiculous. It was just... I think that's kind of how we like learned our lesson before we made the full web series is we went through the whole process of like, okay, we need an icon that then opens and it hops and then that opens. And then we need the X to be multiple graphics because once it's pressed, it changes the color. So that's a different graphic and it's just everything. So when we were looking at doing like the full 8 episodes, we thought if we do an iPad, it would reduce the amount of graphics altogether. And then we also wanted to differentiate between the two POVs because otherwise we would need to build something else that showed that you're either looking at Megan's screen or Avery's screen. And the best way to do that was Megan only uses an iPad and Avery only uses a desktop.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that was like the building of everything before we even got into the writing. And then the writing was a whole other journey.
Yeah, like in the scripts, for like, it's obviously populated with comments and like we obviously wrote in that this post is a picture of this and it says this. So anything plot driven is in the script. But then on top of that, in post, when we went to build all the VFX, Connor and I wrote hundreds of comments. And sometimes then VFX would come back and be like, we need a longer scroll. So you need to give us like 30 more comments. Which was like painstaking, but like did get to a point where Connor and I would be like exhausted at night, just like writing. Like there's inside jokes, there's like Easter eggs. Like if our like close friends watch it, like they'll find some like inside jokes.
So
there's
fun.
lots of nonsense emojis.
Love
like
it.
ha 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 ha.
Totally, totally. At a certain point, we like when we started, we were trying to be really clever with all the comments, but then we started finding like the banality of comments that like things misspelt is funny. Yes. Things that is just like garble is funny. So there's definitely a mixture in there. But yeah, I think having the luxury of doing our proof of concept was huge. Because I think when we first started, there was a degree of us thinking that it might be interesting to watch the realism of things moving in real time. And I think like I would have to go back and watch some of these like thrillers because I think they do live in more realism, but I wonder if they do have shortcuts similarly to
I'm
what
sure
we
they
have.
do.
Yeah. But we learned very much by doing that proof of concept that it like was not interesting to watch someone like click down here and then open a thing and X out of it.
I think what a lot of those films do, especially the thrillers, because I've seen those, is they just have really the one person's screen. So they have like the one template of a format of whatever video call service they're using. And then to get between takes or to adjust timing between people's reactions, like it's people's desktop cameras. So they just glitch them out is how they hide the cuts.
And they probably like, from what I've seen, it's usually like they pick and choose kind of what would be actually clicked to kind of add to maybe tension or something. But I definitely think you guys were on the right, format of just kind of picking up the pace and making it a little bit more like about the two people. Like they are who you're most interested in. And they are very interesting characters. How did you guys decide to
talking over Janae?
Sorry.
No, it's tough when you're like all podcast based and like also talking to people you already sort of know behind the scenes. I just wanted to circle back and explain who Connor is. Because you mentioned him and people won't know.
Connor is the co-writer, co-creator of LCS, and we went to theater school together. So we've known each other for about a decade now. And during the pandemic, we had like worked together in various capacities before. We have both a theater background, obviously. And then during the pandemic, he came to me and he was like, let's like use our time. Let's make the most of something. Like, let's just write something to kind of apply our theater skills to something else. And we were like, okay, let's try filmmaking. Let's try writing a screenplay. And so we learned how to write a screenplay. And then, Sabina came on board. But yeah, he plays Avery Carlton, who is a very silly sort of anti-hero character. Mm-hmm. He is in a lot of ways unlikable, but you discover through the series what made him that way and what he's sort of fighting for.
You can redo yours.
That was kind of essentially what I was going to ask, because I was going to ask about the two different characters and how you kind of came about deciding who they were going to be and kind of what manner you wanted them to be in for the show, because comedy's very hard to write, and deciding like initially what your characters are going to bring to the table, because something like this, especially influencers who are problematic.
Yeah.
How do you make them like likable in a sense when you know they're just a bit, you're like, oh, these guys, why don't they learn?
Yeah.
You want to love to hate them and not just hate them.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they both had their challenges to develop and write. Avery, we played with a lot of versions of like, he's not mean enough. He's too mean. People don't like him. Like you want to root for the character to some degree. You need something that you like about a character to watch them through multiple episodes. So we did some testing of getting feedback and kind of seeing how far was too far with him. I think in a lot of ways, Megan was more challenging because when we meet her, her thing is that she doesn't know who she is. And that's a really hard character to write and play because you're kind of in this like ether of trying to discover who you are. And so in writing her voice specifically, like she was probably the last voice we figured out because Connor has so many, or Avery, I'm getting the actor and the character confused. Avery has so many like one-liners and he has a very specific rhythm, types of jokes, things that he finds funny. So his voice like emerged first. And the rest of the characters, you kind of got used to the way that they would speak. But Megan took so long and we would try different things like to give her a bit, for example. But eventually what worked was like leaning into the like ums and ahs and like stumbling over herself. And coming from theater, that was like really unnatural to do because it's such a text-based medium that like every word sort of counts. And every word does count here. It's just kind of leaning into that, her discomfort and her lack of assurance. And there are certain like one-liners that she does have that are funny. Like when she describes herself as like a marine park orca. Like my mom's holding me captive like a marine park orca. So like that's a Megan joke. Like it's not funny, but it is.
Yeah.
And then on set, it was a lot of like, I find the funniest, I laugh at myself when she's like whining and stuff. Like I find that's the funniest to me. And on set, it didn't feel good to do that. Like, cause it doesn't feel like I'm landing a joke. But it felt truthful to do. And then to watch it back, I'm like, okay, it is funny. Yeah.
Nice. Well, speaking of the filming, so I know that's what you guys wanted to talk the most about is kind of the trials and tribulations of filming something like this, especially during, it was pandemic times. It was very difficult to film. And I wanted to know how you guys kind of got around that and some troubles that came up and how you were able to kind of navigate those.
Yeah, we filmed it in February of 2022. So it was still like full pandemic, still like masking. We had to test. It was still like the full everything. I think at that point, everyone was kind of used to filming with COVID.
Yeah.
I think we didn't really stop production. Like I think we maybe had a couple of months off until they figured out the masking thing and the testing thing. And then we went right back into it.
Yeah, I was like, let's keep going. Yeah. Now that we got the, okay, let's go.
Yeah. So I think at that point, like everyone was pretty used to it and it was pretty normal. As normal as, a pandemic is.
Sure. Yes.
But I think like the The filming was definitely challenging. We did all 8 episodes in 10 days, which as filmmakers yourself, like you hear that and you're like, that's the most ridiculous
My
thing
stomach
I've ever.
dropped a little bit just now.
Yeah, like we did 20 pages a day some days. But the flip side, and this is like where you can get into the filmmaking, is we had no coverage.
Right.
So every shot was pretty much straight on. Like all the FaceTimes, no coverage. Like we had one setup for every FaceTime, one setup for every Zoom call, or like, if it's 3 people in a Zoom, 3 setups.
Yeah.
So it made filming 20 pages like fairly easy on the filmmaking side. And in production, it made the acting very difficult. And it made post very difficult. So like the post side we could get back to, but like the acting side was, and this is like the biggest lesson I think I've learned in this process is if I were to do it again, in the same style of Full Screen Life, is I would build 2 sets and have 2 cameras and then have them acting opposite each other, which we did not do. So like you think about it like normal, like with phone calls, like in film, you film one side and then you film the other side. And it's like, okay. And like, of course, there's going to be like dead air and you kind of fix it in post and that's okay. But when your entire season is basically people over FaceTimes talking to each other, it makes the acting very difficult because you don't have the other person to act off of. And so for most of the characters, it was kind of okay because Marley and Connor are producers, so they were on set. So they were also able to kind of like say like, oh yeah, my character would do it this way or whatever. But Marley and Connor didn't have any of the actors. We didn't have the budget to kind of pay them to come in to read. So they had the script supervisor to read with them, which is usually either the script supervisor or like the first AD, depending on the production. Our script supervisor was cool with it. But
God bless him. Shout out Joseph.
Yeah, like he was cool with it. But it did make it difficult because in the moment, like you don't have that same sort of like authenticity. You don't have the same emotion. So you're kind of just like really hoping the other person is going to give that when we film the other thing 3 days later. And in the post side, we had a whole lot of timing issues.
Right.
Because when you have people with a scene and you have coverage, you can cut between and you can, fill the dead air. But with a FaceTime, you have a big screen and you have a little screen. And they're both happening in real time. So you don't have this like luxury to kind of like cut away. We did cut from the big to the small person, but the small screen was always continuous. So there were many times that we had to like add in extra frames, just to kind of not make it look jumpy. So like this one's like sort of jump cutting. And like sometimes you can get away with it because like in like a FaceTime and a Zoom, like there is a little jump, but it's also distracting. So I think that was one thing that made it very difficult. And it was like a big learning lesson. Like it was harder on the actors. It's harder to do 20 pages off of nobody. And then in post, it just makes it difficult because you're trying to, time things and you're using different takes, but like you can't really use different takes. You kind of have to like smudge it a little bit. And like there are lots of tools in post, which if you two want to talk about, that you can kind of bridge the gap. There's a word for it and I don't remember it. And Harrison's going to be mad at me because I don't remember what it's called.
He didn't want to chime in, so you can say whatever you want.
He's just shaking his head.
I don't know what it's called.
He's here, but didn't want to be mic'd, so we're gonna speak for Harrison.
Jack can speak for him if he doesn't want to
Harrison,
talk.
what is it?
Fluid morph.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, actually, I see a lot of that in visual effects for my job because I do visual effects editing. Sometimes that's used in terms of just retiming a scene or just kind of either speeding it up or slowing it down. And you want to kind of smooth that out so it's not so choppy or so it doesn't look exactly like a retime. But it is difficult when you kind of are balancing 2 people talking to each other and you want it to look like a continuous scene. You don't want people to notice, like us, that, oh yeah, there's the cut there. Like we can tell they cut something out. So that's definitely difficult to try and work with that.
Yeah. To interject quickly, it reminds me of when we were talking about adolescence in our last episode. We weren't attacking it from a QC angle, more so like at the beginning of most episodes, we just sort of were like, what have we watched recently and what was cool about it? Or did we notice things? And we were talking about, because that show's all oneers and how like they didn't do any cuttings, also things like Birdman, but like true oneers, you don't make any cuts. So you're going to have to really incorporate that kind of fluid more if there's anything in a scene that you need to smooth out or retime or whatever. And it sounds like it's interesting to know. I mean, we know that already to a certain capacity, but that it's used in other respects that are not just for sake of like a one take.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, only Harrison and our motion graphics artist, Mary, could tell us actually how many fluid marks, but there's a lot.
I'll have them draw up a tally that I'll put on screen.
Yeah. If you can point them out.
Yeah. We'll have you guys look for them.
Yeah. Some of them are so seamless, though. Like, the technology has really gotten there that you just don't notice it. You're like, oh, is she just going like this? And
Which, you get fidgety on a voice call.
Exactly. Exactly. On a Zoom, you're just like hanging out. It gets worse when there's more people.
Yeah. Like an all hands meeting on like a company Zoom call. It's like, or my camera's just off. But
yeah, the Zoom calls are a little easier because you can actually cut to the individual squares. The FaceTimes were difficult. Yeah, there's like no working around the FaceTimes.
Yeah.
Well, I will say though, with, doing single, one camera, you don't have to worry about with coverage, things that we like to point out with continuity and stuff like that. Like you guys really had just, these are your takes and then you can decide what to use. So you don't have to worry about something like continuity. It would be more just that between the two people and making sure it flows well and feels like they're really talking to each other.
Yeah.
So...
Unless
you don't have to worry about that.
Unless Harrison had to do anything fancy, like blending takes together, in which case, if there was like a better performance on the latter half of something, fluid motioning, like someone's hair is behind their ears and then in front, not anything I noticed while watching it, by the way. Just pointing out that like sometimes that's also a thing.
But we did. We did. In episodes, so also we flip different things and we use different mediums in different episodes, which also was a fun thing that we decided to do that put us in like, really was just Harrison the problem later, and by proxy ours. But in episode 4, we have them filming it's like a YouTube video, but we have it as if it's one take. It's not one take because we cut in and out to like make like an artificial close up. But in a lot of that, there was blending. There was continuity. Yeah. So like we made it look like he presses film and like it's them recording themselves like doing like a little promo. But no. Like we definitely cheated some things in that. And then we have the iPad die and they come back like 5 minutes later. It happens quickly and like not in real time, but they come back and then they're talking again. But we did do like blending as well in that. And then in episode 5, which is another medium altogether, we do like a vlog style in the middle of the episode. So we also have something that's completely different where it's kind of like mockumentary. So we have like these people who are in filming like a behind the scenes video, like a vlog. And that too, we had cutting. Like we actually had to like hide things and put things in. And so we did have continuity as well with certain episodes.
Yeah, you get I always say it's fun for me to watch film people filming a scene of people doing filming because we know what's funny to add in as a mistake or purposely like the boom's off axis, but it's funny and we did that on purpose. I always like watching that kind of stuff because it's like almost inside jokes for industry people and I love it.
You guys do play a lot with, the workings of a set and how things can go wrong. And I wanted to see if you guys would talk a little bit to that episode and how you decided what to put in there.
Well, so that one had a script, but we knew that we were very open to filming more. We filmed a lot of improv and we had a lot of really strong improvisers in the cast. So we got what we needed to get, but then there was like a lot of hours dedicated to like, okay, you guys can have just improvised takes, or we had all these like confessionals that those are completely improvised. So Sabina was just behind the camera, like asking us questions in character. And then Harrison really like just shaped the episode. We made sure we like followed the plot that was necessary. But like that episode is like Harrison's baby.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably enough footage to make like a feature film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of just that episode.
But that was a very, it was like a breath of fresh air to film that, just because we had been filming all those like solitary, if just me and Connor, or like me and Joseph, the script supervisor. And it was nice to be with other actors like physically in the space. And I think you feel that in the episode.
Yeah. That was the first one I watched because that was, I mean, I went back and watched from episode 1. Actually, I'd already seen episode 1. But the first one to rewatch for this podcast, I watched episode 5 first. Jack said it was like one of his favorites to work on. He said it was Harrison's favorite to cut. So I was like, okay, well, that sounds like the one I'm starting with then.
Yeah.
And it was
one
entertaining.
Of the first ones I watched as well. And I thought it was so interesting to have, because a lot of TV, like format wise, sometimes they'll have like it's actually like in person, like regular, and then they'll have that one episode where they're doing something on a screen.
Yeah.
Like I think of with Modern Family, there's one episode where they did that. But you guys had the opposite. It's like mostly everything is on the screen, and then you have that one episode where they're actually like more in person.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool that you guys included that.
It was funny because, I'd seen the first episode, and then like a while back when Jack was working on it, and then I, again, watched episode 5 first this time, and I was like, man, Avery's so mean to his mom. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, she's a bad person, though. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I haven't seen that yet, because otherwise...
She redeems herself, though. She redeems herself.
Yeah, I was like, she brought flowers. Why is he being such a dick?
Yeah.
Are you sure I just can't sit and watch? I'd be quiet.
Yes, I'm sure, okay? You were going home right now. Take these. You're just gonna die anyway.
Yeah, I had a friend react the same way. She was like, oh my God, what? And also because the actress that plays her is a former teacher of me and Connor's.
Oh, really?
Deborah
She was
Tennant.
really good. She was so sweet.
Yeah. She's in Schitt's Creek too. She plays Patrick's mom in Schitt's Creek.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Oh, that's
very
oh my gosh.
heartwarming
That's
scene.
awesome.
But yeah, which is funny because it's sort of the opposite plot. Like we're in Schitt's Creek, her son comes to her nervous and is like, I need to tell you that I'm gay. And she's like, I know, I love you. Versus this is kind of the opposite. She's trying to do better. But yeah, like obviously we structured it in a way that the audience wouldn't know that. And
the audience won't be watching episode 5 first.
Yeah.
They'll watch it in proper order.
Yeah.
And we actually don't even like fully say what she did until after that episode.
Yeah.
So it does like also allude you, because you're like, oh, why is he being so mean to his mom? I don't like this. Why are you being mean? She's so sweet. She brought flowers. What the heck? And then when you get to it and you fully understand like why, and like his own like built up feelings towards her, you kind of understand it all, and it makes sense. But we do redeem pretty much everybody.
Right back into like the production side of it.
Yeah.
Because I think there was a lot of really interesting things that you guys dealt with during production.
Sure were.
One of them in there was something about a fire department.
Yeah, I want to know more about this fire.
Yeah, it was brutal. Dark times. I'll set the scene.
Yeah, it's all you.
It was the last shot of the last day. We were in this studio out in like, Etobicoke?
It was
Mississauga?
Etobicoke. Yeah.
And so the last shot was, it was pretty necessary to the plot. Like it was pretty important to the plot that we get this shot that involved like the whole setup. Like it had this like throne and balloons, and one of our older actors is like in the scene. We were setting up the shot, and then our script supervisor was like, wait, no guys, you can see the reflection of the camera like in some of the balloons. So they were resetting trying to reset that. And then the fire alarm in the building like went off. And our poor sound guy like pierces his ears.
Oh, no.
And so we waited a couple seconds because sometimes these things go off, and then it just wasn't stopping. So we had to evacuate everyone and like as much equipment as we could get out. Multiple set dogs.
Yeah. So it was February 14th too. So
freezing.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was not great. And yeah, we called the studio and they're like, oh, this is really weird. Like, we don't know what's happening. And then they're like, okay, we'll send somebody. Cause they were doing us like a favor. We were filming on, I think it was like
a weekend.
Sunday. Yeah. So no one was there. And it was just like a friend of a friend who was like doing a solid, and it was like a random room. And so the fire department came and they basically evacuated us. So we all went to cars. So we're all like in cars in February. It's like -20, all with our heat on, just like waiting.
And like hoping that we're going to get back in to get the shot.
Yeah. And our producer is like constantly going back and forth, and she's like trying to talk to the fire department and trying to talk to I think it was like a superintendent or something, trying to figure out what it was. And it was a burst pipe, because it was so cold. So it wasn't just like an alarm. It wasn't something that you could reset. It was something that was triggered by water. So it couldn't go away unless the water goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fire department said, like, we can't turn it off. And there's a burst pipe. So we have to turn the water off. And then we waited, I think another probably half an hour. I think the whole thing in all was probably maybe 2 hours. And then eventually we just kind of called it, and we thought we're going to figure it out in post. And we did. We
fix it in post.
We sure did. Because it was literally one, as Marley says, one shot, and it's supposed to be a launch of a product. And it's like
a shocking launch of a product, like a plot, something very negative that happens to one of the characters. It's a pivotal moment.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be this one actor and sitting and with the launch of this bag and
very simple. If we had gotten it a minute or two, we probably could have popped it in.
Yeah, and we didn't even need sound. Sound had wrapped for the day. It was really just this one shot. And yeah, we didn't get it. And we figured it out with graphics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is the bonus of the show is that because I'd say maybe 40%, maybe up to somewhere between 40 and 60% of the show is graphics.
Yeah, very heavy.
Because we have so many, we can actually rely on that to fix certain things. Which is also something that we did in a lot of ways, is that we changed in the way things operated in post, because as we were editing, certain things didn't work. Or a really big thing, which I don't know if we want to jump to, but we never got permission from, so the big one was Meta.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So when we were writing it, we originally had this idea that we wanted to get permission from all the apps. So it was Meta, so it's Instagram, Facebook. At that point, Threads was not out. TikTok, Mac iOS was a big one. And I think we never heard from Meta. No, we got rejected by Meta.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And this was, so we waited. And we got rejected on this first day of filming, which was a huge gut punch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and contextually, it's a gut punch because if you use those, you can just download those assets. You don't have to build anything. It's just you download a folder of assets and sounds.
Yeah.
And you just pop them in, and we realized that we were going to have to pay someone to make them and animate them. And,
yes,
yeah,
and create sounds that are not copyright attached to. Because we've talked about before how I don't even know how I learned this information, but it is true, and I don't know if this was part of you guys getting rejected. Was whenever, I don't know if you guys even knew this, whenever you guys see anybody using an Apple product in a TV show or a film, they have to not be the villain or the
We We definitely knew
morally ambiguous.
Yeah. I think it's because the show's not like an extreme critique of social media, but it is critical of. It's not a positive depiction of social media.
Was that part of it? Did they tell you?
I think so. I mean, we had to submit scripts. Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah.
For Meta specifically, we never heard back from TikTok. And Mac basically said that we would have to mimic the iOS exactly when the show comes out. So whatever the current operating system is would have to be the operating system that we use. It would have to work the exact same way. There was no room for us making up how apps would operate. It would have to be exactly as it is when we release it, which as an independent series is impossible.
Yeah,
because you just you don't know.
And as you know, I've seen how long it's taken you guys to work on this. So much has changed since 2022.
Yeah.
It's to predict that is there's no way.
No, you have to have an in with Apple giving you a heads up of and even then.
It's even then AI wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Just half the things you can do with AI you couldn't do in 2022. So even then it was just impossible. And we couldn't sign off on that and feel comfortable. Especially because we wanted to do film festivals, and film festivals take, a year sometimes more if you want. So even then, there was no world where we would be able to, be of course it's going to be just like iOS, whatever the current version is.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge thing in prep and into filming, because we did not do any previs, which also a fun little post thing. If you guys want to explain it, but we did 0.
Yeah. So previs is essentially just
pre-visualization
of kind of how your shot is going to turn out after, going through the whole post process. So you kind of from my standpoint in visual effects, it usually is animated people or
janky animation.
Very weird looking animation. Kind of just getting an idea of what it's going to end up looking like.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, the brief period we worked together in VFX editing, I saw a lot of previews for various different things, and it's interesting in what context is even used. Something is simple. I don't mean to say simple.
No,
I just mean by comparison, simple to as opposed to a fight sequence.
Yes.
Or a sequence.
Like a dragon.
Yes. Or something where there's multiple characters and there's a lot going on at a time. Multiple of maybe one character that's supposed to be in many different spots you have to account for in VFX that you can't shoot on the day, and everything that goes into that. And sometimes it's just as simple as cutting together storyboards to get the pacing of a scene, which I actually helped with on one of the projects that we were prepping at said post house. Where it was literally just taking the physical drawings of the storyboard and saying well, I think this shot would actually be a little bit longer so that you can time out for the animators, because that was actually technically pre-previs. I was passing this off to the previs people to then make the janky animated shots to then pass off to get approved. So there's so many steps and so many reasons why you would do that for planning, and sometimes it's a make or break for a shoot day as to how quickly or how easily you can pull something off.
Yeah, and it helps in our context. We couldn't do it because we didn't have any permission from anything. We didn't know what we were going to be able to do. So the most I was able to do is screenshots. So literally going on my computer and taking screenshots of how I want things to look and where windows would be and how they would interact, and okay, this is going to be vertical, this is horizontal, and planning it in that way. So there was lots of screenshots, but that was the most we could do. We couldn't do any of the previs animation. We didn't have any of our graphics built because we were hoping that we would get Meta, we would get, Apple, and we could use all of these already established graphics, and we couldn't. So when it came down to it, we edited the show 3 times. Luckily, Harrison does not have a mic, so he can't comment on that.
He's defenseless.
Yeah, he's yelling right now.
He's pulling his hair out.
Yeah. The first time was purely just boxes.
Yeah.
So there were some like screenshots to kind of help with like context, but it was really just like boxes of, here's Marley's box or sorry, Megan's box, and here's Avery's box, and then here's Sasha's box, and we labeled them with like the minimal amount that you usually do in like your first pass of the edit. But when it came down to it, we had that, and then we used that to build our graphics. So like round one was like the like you can't even call it like an editor's cut and a director's cut.
It was also like horrible to show people. And I know it was horrible for you to even show us, because Connor and I don't have a film background, so we don't understand. I think at some point you learned that we had no idea what. You really have to prep us.
Yeah.
Because we were like, this is not what we signed
up for.
Realistic here.
But it was horrible to like show people for various reasons, if we were trying to like get more funding for something.
Which we did. And people were like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
We're like, it's tough to visualize it, and you just see, I don't really know how this is going to actually look yet. You're still kind of in this, very imaginative stage.
Like fully though. And like even like the screenshot, like, there's only so much you can add in for context without it just kind of being sort of wasteful.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to look like that, because we didn't use proper iOS. We did like a mix of like the Microsoft and the Mac. And we created things that just worked for us that like do not exist in the actual
So that was
world.
kind of like a blessing in disguise then, I guess. Like
huge.
you got rejected by Meta, but then you were so freed up in the editing and graphic process to kind of just make it work for your little like story world. And it had probably, I imagine, saved you a lot of time and money doing that.
It definitely changed the edit, and I think it made it more original. Like we were able to, so after like the first version, and we had all these little boxes around a black screen, we were able to then start looking for an artist, like a graphic designer who would design the whole thing. And we found someone who had kind of done like these cute little like windows and these cute little like emojis, and then it became since we don't have to stick to this rigid world that we are currently exist in, what if we made it more fun, and what if we leaned into the satire? Like the characters are silly, they do silly things, they are elevated versions of like actual influencers and people and whatever. So like what if we added to that by having the graphics be silly as well? So we chose colors that were a little sillier, so they're like kind of like pastels, and like they paint this like really pretty sort of like elevated world, so it kind of doesn't feel real. A big reference, which is maybe a weird one, but was Black Mirror. So like all of their tech is fake. They're not, so they build all their own graphics and do everything. And with that, they do something that's like kind of elevated. And that was our reference, but instead of in like the horror thriller, we did it in like the fun and satirical. But in a similar way. So it was a blessing. But in the moment, it was stressful.
And I think it very much like none of us signed, like a journey none of us signed up for was because we ultimately had to do a lot of the graphics ourselves. So we were able to hire this artist to create like the templates, but obviously like different windows will say different things at different times. We were like, we don't need her to go back in every time. Sabina and Connor both had a certain level of proficiency in like Photoshop.
So it's like in Illustrator, and like that's blown up. Like now I can like fully. I am a qualified graphic designer at this point. So is Connor.
So we had a workflow where we had the basic graphics, and then I would go to Connor's house and we would like painstakingly, I would be like the script supervisor on this part. Connor would make the graphic, then it would go to you, then it would go to Mary.
So you guys wore many hats for this project.
It's more than we wanted to.
Like indie filmmaking to a T.
Like,
truly.
We know it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys learned so much through that process, right?
Yeah.
Because you just have to go, okay, we're figuring this out now. Let's see what we can do and make it work.
Absolutely.
And you did.
And the amount of time that like episode 1 took, it took so long, so much longer than we thought. And as a producer, it was concerning. It was like, are we going to get this done?
Take 10 years.
Yeah, but once you got all the episodes sped up and
Then you have your format and then you're going to go follow it.
Yeah, it's a bit more of a template you can use going forward.
Yeah, it was like once we figured out each app, that then was the template that would kind of be like copy and pasted every single time. And then when we reached an episode with like a new app, that was we were like, oh no, we have a new thing, which like I think the most difficult one was Twitch.
I was going to say you guys had like a Twitch-like app that you use in a few of the episodes. I guess more than the latter half of the series.
Yeah, it's 3 episodes. Well, we do it a little bit in 1. So it's like 1 a tiny bit, and then in 3, and then 6 is like the big one. And yeah, that one we completely redid. So once we got the graphics from the graphic designer and she made everything per like a very like ridiculous list, then we had to go in and put the graphics in. And then it had to be retimed and re-edited. And then after that, we then threw it over to motion graphics. So it's Mary. And then Mary had to animate everything, which was, again, another round of edits. Because when you start animating it and you realize the timing, again, is not working, you had a little bit more fluid morph in there, you had a little bit more graphics, like and things had to completely be redone. So at this point, we've already gone through, I think, 4 edits on picture, and now we're on like the 3rd edit of graphics, and every single episode we had to go through, and it was like, hey, I need this button exported. I need this in a different thing. Like Twitch was the most difficult because I think you two wrote something like 400 comments.
Wow. Yeah, the live chat.
Yeah. The live chat is silly.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, as much as I was watching for the content, there were a couple times where I was like, I know what's going on. What's the chat talking about?
It's like, hi, chat.
But that's like, it's kind of fun because it adds like a whole other layer to the show that you'll be able to like watch it and then go, okay, wait, I could go back and watch it again. And now I can actually focus my attention to other spots.
I always say that about stuff. And that's part of like what interested me in QC in the first place. Like we'll always say, like when we talk about stuff that like we have to caveat by saying like, we know Jurassic Park is flawless, but if you look hard enough, because it is one of those things that you watch it enough times, you're like, okay, well, I know what the dinosaur is doing. What's happening on this side of the screen now? And so it is one of those things where on first watch, you're paying attention to everything. And then like on a couple watches later, you're like, oh, and I can actually like, what's the chat saying this time? And you can really fully appreciate everything that's going on. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, there's like tiny little Easter eggs. Like there's one chatter who's in love with Dean.
Yes. And that's arced. Like it has like a 3-beat arc structure.
I love that.
Like she loves Dean and then Megan gets introduced, so she hates Megan. And then the more their relationship develops, the more like she starts to unravel.
Yeah.
And you can watch. That's one of the like, I think it's both been exciting to see it on a big screen, like at these film festivals, to see the graphics be that big and to like kind of feel immersed in screen.
Yeah.
But I also think I'm more excited for when it can stream so that people can pause it if they want to see what's happening.
Oh yeah, like it has such good rewatch value that people are gonna go back and they're gonna watch for those little Easter eggs that you guys have.
Admittedly, I was watching the Masters, so I could pause and really be like, what was that?
Yeah. It's cool. Like to not only like, you guys created this story, then you designed this kind of online world, then all these apps that would be associated in their little world. Like you guys had a lot of design and building happening for this show, which like it's to wrap your head around how much time goes into that. Like you guys spent quite a lot of time on this, and now you get to show the world what it is, and I wanted to ask you guys where you've screened it so far. I know, but audience doesn't know.
Yeah, and what the general like reaction has been that you guys have
how
gotten so far.
Reacted.
So we've had our American and Canadian premieres now. We premiered in New York, December of 2024. And then we just did a Montreal premiere at the Cours d'un Soir Festival, which was largely French language, but had a couple of English projects.
I was going to ask, did you guys have to subtitle that one?
We did.
Yeah.
Which was tough because of all the graphics and like placing it in certain spots. And yeah. And what do you translate? Like what do you choose to translate of the graphics? Essentially, what's necessary?
Yeah, because if you're having these large streams of people commenting, so you guys just left that alone and mostly focused on the dialogue of people and maybe just a couple.
Yeah, we only subtitled like super plot-driven things. Yeah, if they were graphics. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. I think when we screened in New York, the funniest to me was when we screen the pilot. The first image is the desktop, and you see the picture is the VAG logo, VAAG, and obviously, like the audience might not know how to say that or what that is yet. And so, like, they laugh immediately. We were like, "What? That's funny!" Like, I think we really like that's so natural to us. That's just the world that like we forgot that that's funny.
But that was a joke that was planned years ago.
Yeah. We're like, it's called VAG. It's called VAG. What do you mean? So that was we both like looked at each other at that point in the theater. We were like,
right off the bat.
You're like, nice.
Got him.
Love that.
Got him. And then, I mean, it was very validating to hear laughter after watching it in my room for so long.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it, right? You kind of start to get a bit desensitized after so many watches. And, sitting with that content for so long, you're like, okay, is this still funny? Is it good? But yes, people who are going to watch it first time, second time, many times, they're going to love it. You guys have seen it more than anyone.
Oh, yeah.
But the jokes are good. They're good.
Thank you.
They do land.
Yeah, so you screened, it was last week.
In Montreal,
In Montreal.
Yeah.
And so did you, when you guys did the screening, and because it was in subtitles, did you find that it carried, like some of those jokes, did they carry through? Did you find that the audience
Some of them. I think the language barrier did affect it. There was another local show called Settle Down that's on Out TV right now. It's excellent, and it makes us cackle, and we were sitting there cackling because we speak English fluently. And there was just like silence from the audience. We were like, okay, that's not translating exactly. But it's objectively a really funny show with like great one-liners. And then there was obviously the French content, like people would laugh and we'd be like, and it was subtitled, so you could understand the words, but we were clearly missing something. So I think, it was an interesting experiment for sure.
How was the New York screening for you guys?
I think it was I think the most telling thing was that because it was not home turf in any way, shape, or form, we had just a couple people there for us. The rest of the audience was very much not there for us. I think that was telling that it wasn't just like my mom laughing at my pity laughing. I think the American audience for sure gets it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The New York audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They would eat it up because that's the whole, social media is mostly, especially influencing, there's a lot of influencers in New York, especially, who I'm sure just loved loved the VAG joke. The branding with that was very, very cool.
Yeah, I actually had a couple questions about the branding.
Specifically the branding.
I had some questions about your VAG. No, because there's obviously like with any production, but with something like this where a lot of it is like budget dependent, the couple times you did need to make like prominent props, like the process of making the bag, and obviously want to ask about the cans and stuff too. Like, what was that like? How did you go about doing that? And like, did it work out the way you wanted it to?
I mean, we were very lucky to have the team that we had.
Yes.
We had the Mancini sisters doing costumes, and Estee was the head of the department. She made the bags. So obviously the props department made a lot of other stuff, but she made the bags specifically. And yeah, it was very like collaborative in terms of like what we were able to do versus like what we imagined. Like obviously the Snapdragon, like it's a vagina joke. Like it has to sit in a certain way and like function in a certain way. And yeah, I think she made our dreams come true. I have that bag.
I was gonna say, I hope one of you guys kept that. Yeah.
And then the rainbow bag is somewhere in a storage crate.
Yeah, it's like a lockup somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think I say this, I've said this a few times. I think the most satisfying part for me of this entire process, the moment where I was like, I've really made something. I've made a show. I've imagined something and it came true. Yeah. Was when I saw the props men bring like $200 worth of tomatoes in for the last episode. Me and Connor were like, it's a tomato set. And these grown men made a tomato set.
Yeah. It's like amazing. 100%.
Yeah. Of real tomatoes.
Like real tomatoes.
Like we thought this and here it is.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was like, can you do like Call Me By Your Name meets oh my God, what's the restaurant?
The bad Mario's?
No, the American one.
The Olive Garden.
Olive Garden.
Yes.
It's like, can you combine the two? Because Olive Garden, like the way the actual restaurants are designed is like this like tacky Italian.
Yeah.
And then Call Me By Your Name is like this like very beautiful and like over dramatic.
And the phallic fruit.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, can you do that? And they did. They 100%.
And that was our first shot
that's fun.
photography. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it was.
That's awesome.
It was a big day. And then we had like the track. It was very cinematic.
Yeah. Like that's another one where we have so much footage of tomatoes.
Oh man.
Release the tomato cut.
The tomato cut.
We need a full edit of that.
Yeah. Put Harrison to work.
I'm sure he would love to do that, actually.
I hope he would love to do that.
Yeah. In terms of like the branding with that, did you guys have any kind of challenges in how, because you probably didn't want to create something that was maybe similar or too on the nose to like maybe something else? Like how did you kind of decide, okay, we're going to go this route, like make it kind of, what am I trying to say here? Kind of more like, we don't want to be kind of copying something, because I know like the video with all the phallic fruit and stuff like that. Like, what made you guys decide to have the fruit be very, very phallic?
Yeah, I think that's the fun thing about satire is you can kind of like it's the SNL of it all. You can get away with a lot more because you are making fun of it.
Yeah.
So you can actually there's more legal room where you can sort of copy something that's been done a million times because we're making fun of it. So because we're pointing out that brands are not aware in a lot of ways, and like that was our point.
Yeah.
Like influencers and brands and stuff is you have a lot more power than they think they do. And they also have to have more accountability, and it doesn't really exist. And so we wanted to kind of challenge that in a fun way where it's like, how do we kind of poke at brands and how they, they release silly things that are not so great. Like
greenwashing and rainbow washing of it all.
Yeah. And then also just like, there was a brand, I don't remember which one, but they did like BDSM teddy bears.
Yes. Balenciaga.
That's it. Yeah. And like, it was a disaster online.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, what are you doing? Like, these are children's toys.
That was mind-boggling. Because we always say, even with QC, it's like, how many eyes were on this, how many people signed off on this, how many levels of approval this went through for that to still come out and nobody said,
nobody flagged.
Wait a sec, what are we doing?
Yeah, there's that one assistant who was like, I said this was a bad idea.
But I'd get fired if I said it louder. So
yeah. So I think like that was the point to kind of point it out. And with like the phallic fruit and like the on purpose kind of pointing out like a trans exclusion was how we started the entire series.
Okay.
Was like how people can be a little tone deaf in like their creation of things and think that, you know, they're doing like this really feminist, like girl bossy sort of thing. And they don't mean to harm people. They don't mean to leave people out. But in trying to do something, you're not thinking of like the big picture.
The big like white feminism scandal.
Yeah, totally,
I was like, you're all for femininity, but like only when it comes to white people because you're not aware of the other struggles that are going on. And that just wasn't part of like how you were trying to, you know.
Yeah, like Katy Perry going to space, like that's totally something that Megan would do.
I've said this multiple times.
Is that like season 2? Is Megan going to space?
I have told Marley every moment that we
if
get.
They even really went to space, they managed to pull it off, right?
It's my dream. It's my dream to put Megan in space.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
With a VAG.
She has to promote the VAG in space.
Yeah.
And Avery can be there with his soda in the background.
Yeah. Sponsored by Spritzy.
Sponsored by
Speaking of Spritzy.
Which I do still really want to get back to.
Yeah.
I need to know what happened with the Spritzy.
So our art department was 2 people. And yes, so that's also a fun thing is depending on, like we were obviously non-union, we were very small, but depending on unions, sometimes wardrobe will take on certain things and sometimes props will take on certain things. And it depends on the preference. So for us, the bags went to wardrobe, but in some unions, actually props does the bags.
Yeah.
But we kept it to SA. She also really wanted to do it because she was kind of like excited by the challenge of it. But when it came to our art department, it was 2 people and they did so much. And we had cans and they just weren't working. And continuously weren't working. And so we kind of, I just like turned to the producer at one point. I'm like, hey, like this isn't working. What do you think? And she said, you know what if we just use like a bubbly can? We have 1 million of them on set. Like, let's just use them. And then, you know, we'll try to figure it out later. Like the bubbly logo is fairly small or like fairly simple. So like, it's like a single colored can with bubbles and then like the bubbly logo. And so that was what we did is like on set, we used the actual bubbly cans and we used like the different colors. And then we thought, we're going to try to get permission to use bubbly. And we did like the double whammy. So it was either ADR all the lines where they say spritzy and make them bubbly or VFX the bubbly cans.
Oh, and spritzy. Canada's #1 zero-cal carbonated beverage of choice to satisfy your inner goddess.
A friend of mine had like an in with PepsiCo. So we're like, let's just try. Like, let's do it. And they were really kind and they were like, yeah, you know what? Like maybe, could you please send us the links? Similar to Meta. Could you please, you know, explain like where it's being used, what context is being used and everything like that. And so Marley actually made the list with like the time codes and she like messages me. She's like, I don't know about this. I don't know if they're gonna, if they're gonna say yes.
Because it's Avery's sponsorship. He's always doing the worst thing possible.
The worst thing.
Like, he's not holding this really
not exactly good representation.
Yeah. And so they said no. And it was honestly, it was like the kindest.
She was
no.
so nice. She was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she's like,
not.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she's like the VP of marketing, and she's like, yeah, like we really, we can't. Like, I hope you understand. I'm like, no, I like, I totally understand. We just wanted to see. So then we went into the VFX side of, can you just, you know, accept these logos. And again, because the cans are quite simple, like they're like a solid color with a couple bubbles. We had like this one random guy who was like hired through like our post. He was basically our post-production consultant because our workflow was extremely large and ridiculous that we had someone who was kind of like holding our hands throughout the whole process.
I did notice that credit. I was going to ask what the scope of that was.
Yeah. So Spencer Hahn, who is an angel and a sweet darling, and we owe him a lot. He is a professional post supervisor in the city, and he could not do our show because we could not afford him full time. And so he did us a solid, which was consulting. So, which basically meant that he would answer all of my phone calls and text messages when I didn't know what the best way to do something, or like when Harrison or Mary were like, "Oh, should we do it like this? Should we do it like what's the fastest? What's the best way? What's the smartest?" So he was not post supervising. I was basically post supervising and then calling him when something happened. So that's how we got that credit. But he actually said, "Oh, like I know this guy. He's really great at VFX. Like, let's just send it to him and see if he can do it." And he did. And it's like pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty. I noticed, like, I think from my watch through, 2 prominent scenes that featured somebody going like this enough to the camera with, I think it was like a pinkish can and then another time with an orange one. Yeah. And they both looked pretty good. Like, I wouldn't have known anything was up with it if you hadn't said anything.
Yeah.
And even knowing that, looking at it, I'm not like, you know, it's our job to notice that stuff. And I didn't notice any issues with it. So
the only way I knew was because I remember you reached out to me and you were like, "You work doing visual effects, right?" I'm like, "No,
not that.
I do visual effects.
I still get people asking me that too. They're like, "So how do I fix this in Blender?" I was like, "Dude, I used Resolve because I wasn't on the editing side. I don't know."
I was like, "I'm so sorry, Sabina, but I can't help you there."
So like that was another thing that I found out was such a very specific skill. That like this is not someone who, you know, like it is someone who actually blends in and like makes it look so, and it was maybe I think like 10 seconds. Like it's so
they're very quick.
They're very quick, but like because they hold it up to the camera and it's like prominent in the screen, we did need someone who was like masterful at it, and he did it.
Because the tracking alone, like that's the hard part, right? Because like once it's up here, it's up here, but once you have to track the graphic on the movement, that's what gets difficult.
And that's, you know, like we've talked about in previous episodes, it's like you can sometimes see if the tracking isn't accurate and as it's moving, because motion, you know, can be forgiving sometimes.
But matching motion.
Yeah, matching motion and just trying to make sure that the eye isn't catching, that it's going off or something's popping on. And it looked really good.
And it's a can, which is reflective. And we didn't, which like you're supposed to do when you do VFX shots like this, you're supposed to like bring in this little orb that has like a reflective surface. So that way, when you bring it in to do the VFX, like you can see where the light is hitting the orb. Yeah. We didn't do that. So it was purely like him going off of where he assumed the light was coming from. And he still did it because like an aluminum can is reflective. So yeah, it was really good.
It did look good. And you had the luxury too, I mean, I've been saying that word a lot, but of it being just the one camera setup. So it's not like you had to worry about like, what if we cut to a close-up? What if we cut to a wide? It's like, it's just, no, this is the coverage and this is what you have to work with. And I'm sure that made it a little bit easier.
Yeah. And also because we made the choice on set, it was purposeful that the way they hold it covers a lot of it. And as much as possible, it's out of frame. So like, again, we don't have the wide, so we don't have to worry about it. So because we made the decision, it's like, okay, like put the can down. Like once you show it, put it down and it's off camera and you don't see it again.
But
which would make sense anyway.
One like shot of Dean like,
oh
yeah. No one's drank from a can ever like that.
The weirdest way.
I might start doing that now. Just like
you used to hold your can really weird. You used to do it like this.
Okay, one time I did this.
He like does it
one time because I was sitting awkwardly on a couch trying to like get out of someone's way, and Harrison happened to be looking at me when I did that, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?
That is not natural, Lisa."
I'm hiding the label from the cameras that are set up.
That's
obviously.
it.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
This isn't the Truman Show.
I guess I can ask more about audio because Jack did the audio for the
audio
Jack
time with Jack
this.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Jack did the thing.
I did the thing about the audio.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
All right.
So Jack, what were your challenges?
I I guess it was like what you guys were talking about earlier about, creating those sounds that were similar to Mac and PC and all that, but not infringing on copyright and stuff. So that was definitely a challenge.
I remember one in particular you and I were talking about because you asked me about the wow.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
the anime,
wow.
the little, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a computer
version wasn't
sound,
good
is it?
enough. Maybe you could have used it. No, but just in terms of sound design that would be copywritten to use, I remember we had some discussions about that.
I mean, it's like, obviously of sound effects and stuff, there's always licensing stuff. Mm-hmm. But like when you're trying to emulate something that already exists, that's when it gets trickier. Like something that's recognizable, but not like Mac's going to come after you kind of thing. I feel like that's the trickiest part. So, and because like stuff like the Skype, or not the Skype, the FaceTime ring and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you have to get kind of creative. You don't want to go too off because you want people to know what that sound is, especially if they like if all of a sudden they start hearing a sound, they want it to be recognizable without it being, infringing on anything.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the challenge. Otherwise, it was pretty like, talking head and creating these worlds, adding the sound effects like clicks and stuff. That's all pretty straightforward otherwise. And the music also, like the composer was really awesome. And he added in a bunch of like sound design himself almost. And that made the mix pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, he did. Shout out to Jake Weston.
That's right, Jake. Yeah, he was awesome.
A hero, truly.
He was truly a hero.
My favorite Jack moments. So there was one where Megan's in a nail salon, and you have to understand that she's in a nail salon, and you don't see the background very much. You just see like a sliver of background. And so the first pass was clear that Jack and Andrew had never been to a nail salon before.
I mean, yeah.
It's like drilling.
Drilling.
Are you at Shellac Palace right now?
Yes, and I brought Quinn with me because I figured after you traumatized him at the shoot, it was the least I could do.
What kind of nail salon?
And then they nailed it.
Drilling, right? It's like a dentist.
Yeah. And then there's another one where sort of like shit hits the fan, and there's an office in the end that's sort of empty. And we told Jack like it might be a little chaotic, like no one's really answering the phones, but it sounded like the floor of like a Wall Street trader when we got to the back.
Hey, you know what? It could be a stock crisis. You never know.
It was insane. And we were like, take it back a couple notches. He was so cool.
What I want to know is what did you think was drilling? Like what would be drilling?
Yeah, in your mind, what was the diegetic source of the sound?
Nail salon.
Oh, okay.
And it was like in the description, nail salon, comma,
construction
stuff, drilling. Maybe it's outside. I don't know.
I think it's like the file. I think like the nail file.
Yeah, I don't think it was literally drilling.
No, but it sounded like
I mean, they have little drills.
Yeah,
So
that's like like the little
The buffers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never been to a nail salon. I can guess what that would be.
Yeah, no, they did. They drill with tiny little drills.
Okay. Oh, they drill.
Okay.
And
We're cutting off the Jack cam now.
Yeah.
the Jack nail salon, they drill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to start a new business.
You should.
So, Jack, what was your favorite kind of sound to build?
Oh yeah, the chase intro was really fun. Yeah, it was he had like the sirens and stuff and all the whoosh, whoosh. Try to make it like kind of like a video game / like
It's got like some screaming, some passerby.
Yeah, it's like crazy. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and that reminds me that I added in some like because Chase was doing a segment on aviary.
On the aviary.
Yeah.
They
He was
closed.
talking about birds. No, he was talking about Avery, and I got to add in some like fart sounds. That's always fun. So.
It was very silly because we have like the YouTubers and YouTubers like use silly sound effects. Twitch streamers use silly sound effects to kind of like elevate the experience, and we kind of just like let Jack go wild with it.
Let him have some fun.
Yeah, I added in a weird like. I'm not going to do the sound, but like a weird moan sound.
Do it.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
We'll add it in post.
We'll fix it in post.
It's going to happen right now. Okay. And yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, you guys let me, other than the drilling, I guess, you let me kind of play and do weird stuff sometimes. So that was fun.
Good job, Jack.
I'm going to add in a little fun fact about our show and sneaking in non-copyrighted sound design. Our opener, I don't even know if you know this, is a riff on a classic film sound that I had Jack remake, and then we glitch out to avoid it because we couldn't use the actual one because it's copyrighted the THX.
Yeah.
I wanted to use it, and I was like, can you just like make something that's like close enough, and then we'll just glitch it out at the end, and then hopefully no one comes around.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we were discussing like what it would sound like. We were like, oh, that is a really iconic sound. Like there's a reason why, you know, you think about it from your childhood. It gave us all nightmares in the middle of the night.
One thing I'm interested to sort of see if we can work into closing the discussion a bit is at the end of our episodes, we usually take a reflection back on what we've discussed and give it like a rating system. So when we did QC as a job back in the day, like actually like right out of school, we got this job together. There was like a leveling system, and we sort of thought it'd be fun to work into the podcast. So basically a level 1 would be like a mistake where, like I know it's a mistake, but no one else will probably notice, so it's not that bad. And then a level 2 would be like, it's not great, but if production signs off on it, then it's staying in there. And then a level 3 would be like, this can't air that way. And we've kind of in a roundabout way maybe already done that, but I'm wondering if there's if you had to pick one to put in each of those leveling categories, what do you think you guys would like pick to place at a 1, 2, and a 3 through the whole process?
Yeah, like even things that didn't go to air, like what?
Yeah,
even if you were working,
even if it worked out in the end, maybe at the time you're like, this can't air this way.
That's a tough question.
Yeah. I feel like there were many times that we had the thought of like, oh, we can't show anybody anything. Like we can't show people this because it's missing so much. So it's kind of like a weird, like the final product. Like I think Marley and I we definitely know where there are mistakes.
Yeah.
Like
so overall, that's like a 1. Like we know they're there, but no one else is.
Like there are definitely things that I see and I'm like, oh yeah, I would have changed that. Or if I could go back, I'd film that differently. Or on that day we had this issue and you know, this was
even like you said with the balloon, like that's a really good example of you guys saw that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we can't have this shot because you can see the whole crew in it. Like that's a really good that you guys caught. That is really good.
Yeah, because you either fix that on set or you try and VFX it in post, and then that's a whole other nightmare.
Yeah.
What level do you guys think the fire was?
It was a 5-alarm fire.
Well, it wasn't a fire.
Yeah,
it was the water.
Burst,
Oh, right. Yeah, it wasn't a fire.
Yeah.
I guess it just weirdly triggers a fire alarm. Flooding.
I did not know that.
That's good that it triggers an alarm, though.
Yeah, I guess. Good to know.
Yeah, like 4 fire trucks showed up. Like it was a whole thing.
Crazy.
I don't know. Marley, do you have maybe this is again a Harrison question.
He doesn't want to talk.
What's the QC?
Yeah. What's wrong with the show? What do you hate most?
If anything, get people to watch it and stream it as many times as possible, then they can see if they can find something.
Yeah, they can find something.
But definitely stream it.
Yes.
Because
however it ends up
next thing I wanted to ask was where it's going to be going next and where people will be able to watch it.
Yeah.
And since we talk so much, people are going to want to see it.
We are still working out in Canada where we're going to be streaming. We hope to know that very soon. We hope, I mean, if you're a streamer, let us know. We're hoping to find streamers in at least the US, Canada, maybe the UK. But there are a lot of really great like video hosting platforms now that are allowing creators a lot of control over like regions and like and permissions and like paywalls and blah, blah, blah. So we'll probably utilize one or multiple of those to make it available worldwide. Yeah, rather than just in English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So nothing yet. Nothing
because
solidified.
we're still on our festival circuit for a little while. We've got a few more like results that we're waiting on.
Okay, great.
We hope to hit some more of the major U.S. and Canadian cities. Also Toronto. We haven't screened in Toronto.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Okay.
We're working on it. It'll happen. But we should be finished with our festival circuit within the next few months, and then we'll figure out the distro side. It's like the final frontier.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Scary.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So when you guys, if you're gonna end up film or showing here in Toronto, we'll have to post it to this, because obviously this is probably going to come out before that happens. But we'll make sure to let everybody know where it's going to be.
Yeah, and if people want to stay tuned with us, they can follow us on Instagram at LCS Series.
Yes, plug it.
Yes. We really, our like big hope and dream before we release it, but I don't know how possible, is to do the whole season, like a whole season 1, because we have not like screened it, the whole thing with an audience. So even for us, it's like, okay, well, like what lands, what doesn't, like we have our favorite episodes. And that's always like a fun thing. Like, okay, like this one's really funny, but this one's really sweet and like sincere. So that's kind of like our big, like pie in the sky of, can we do the whole thing at some point? But we're still working on it.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely keep up with you guys. And if there's any updates between now and when this episode goes out, because I think we might need a little more time on the post side for people, at least on the sound aspect of it. We'll make sure to add in any updates before this goes live if anything exciting happens.
Add a little edit.
Yeah.
Now available on.
Little freeze frame.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Our first guest. So exciting.
I know. It was very exciting. You guys were great speakers, so you made it very easy for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right.
Yay. Yay. We did it.
Wow.
Quality Control Chicks podcast is produced and co-hosted by Lisa Cumming
and Janae Perez.
Audio mix and master by Jack Rudy.
You can follow us on Instagram at Quality Control Chicks Pod for BTS, bonus content, and clips.
You can give us a watch or listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to your favorite shows.